Pulse nightclub shooting in Orlando stands as not only the deadliest mass shooting perpetrated by a single gunman in American history, but also as the deadliest act of violence committed against members of the LGBT community. But in the aftermath of this tragedy, something strange started to happen. Gay men and women in Florida and around the country start to buy guns. A lot of them. The Pink Pistols, an organization that introduces members of the LGBT community to shooting as a means of empowerment, saw their ranks multiply by more than 4 times in the weeks following the shooting. See, at some point, these men and women realized a simple truth. Armed gays bash back. When seconds count, the police are only minutes away, and the thing is, you have a choice to make in those few seconds. When someone is trying to physically impose their will on you against your own, you could acquiesce with the hope that you will survive the hostile encounter with physical and emotional integrity intact. Or you can fight back. Like it or not, guns are the great equalizer. And if you know anything about the political powerhouse that is the NRAILA, you'll understand that despite all the posturing and theater put on by Congress for the benefit of an impassioned American public, guns are not going anywhere anytime soon. So if guns are here to stay, let's put them in the right hands. This is my friend Caitlin. She's a pretty typical college student, very smart and driven young woman. She's a sophomore here at CU studying IFI to get ready for med school. She likes hiking, hanging out with friends, and trying to eat organic. She'd also never shot a gun in her life until she found out that I'm an occasional visitor to the range and asked if she could go along with me the next time I went. But see, the thing is, Caitlin wasn't the only one. See, Caitlin told Cassie, and Cassie told Spencer, and Spencer told a bunch of other people, and now I'm at a point where I've got way too many friends who want me to teach them how to shoot. And in talking to these people and trying to understand their enthusiasm and motivation for wanting to learn how to shoot a gun, besides the fact that making things go bang is really, really fun, I learned that many women, minorities, and members of the millennial generation in general feel that for their whole lives they've been told who they are, what they're capable of, and what they're supposed to look and act like. You are not athletic enough, you're not fast enough, you're not good enough, you're just a girl. This isn't for you. Just do what you're told. They're not buying it. These are people who are tired of being told what they can't do. These are people who realize that when push comes to shove, when everything comes down to those few seconds that count, they'd rather fight back. Every single one of these friends who wanted to learn has simply never had the opportunity. All of them had been interested in learning about firearms ownership and operation, but were too intimidated by the subject matter to approach it themselves. When you don't even know what you don't know, it can be hard to try something new. And the problem is that in an age when we default to YouTube and Wikipedia to learn how to do just about everything from cooking a decent meal to coding a website, there are zero cohesive and comprehensive learning and training resources out there for prospective gun owners who don't know the difference between a muzzle and a magazine. At DIY Defense, we believe that everybody has a right to feel safe, regardless of their sex, gender expression, ethnicity, sexual orientation, religion, or political affiliation. And to this end, our mission is to provide an engaging, user-friendly, and innovative way for new and prospective gun owners to navigate the anxieties and unknowns that come with firearms ownership, and to help them build the skill set necessary to effectively use a handgun as a defensive tool. We provide for our users a self-paced social learning platform that trains new and prospective firearms owners in defensive handgun use through gamified training drills and exercises that can be practiced from the comfort of your own home. Our smartphone companion app includes a built-in shot timer and target monitor that helps coach the user between repetitions of drills and suggests improvements and new sequences of training modules by observing the user's performance and identifying their deficiencies. This means that our smartphone-assisted dry and live fire training system helps our users become more proficient with their guns faster and at a much lower cost than they would through conventional training methods. This is what the new generation of American gun owners looks like. The Caitlins, the Cassies, the Spencers of the world, we're starting to see firearms ownership as a symbol, as a means of demanding and exercising their rights as equal citizens and participants in our society. So let's reach out to these people. Those people who are saying, here I am. I too am a human being and I will not be threatened, bullied, or intimidated. And I'd like to see you try. Everyone has a right to feel safe. Let's help make that a reality.
4 minutes, 26 seconds. Got it in there.
Let's let it take a stand.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm in conflict with myself, which is, I think, the aim of the pitch. And so I think, good job. You managed to get an engaging, memorable pitch in that. You've got a lot of really good technique at the beginning of that. Immediate feedback is I'm not sure the black screen up front is a good idea.
Yeah.
a powerful emotional image could go with that story. Maybe that fades in over time or does something else. There might be a way of bringing that in. I like the idea of maybe something. The hard part is when you start with that, people don't know your presentation's really started, and especially in a big room when they want that, they want some sort of key intro break-in piece to just help them visualize that you're going to go into that. But then I do like the idea of just focusing everything on you, and that could just be not very little in the background. Right? It's a very minimalistic. I like the approach though. And then like you had me like on every word all the way through this until we got towards the end, when I just felt like I didn't like your demo pictures.
Yeah,
stuff, right? Like,
I didn't either.
They just look bad, they look ugly, and they take away from everything you've just built me up to. So I've just engaged with you, and even though I'm in conflicts with myself and whether or not what do I agree with, what do I disagree with here, the discourse is really great. So suggestion there is like Fiverr.com, throw $50 at a designer and get them to like get them to just take away your pain from yourself and just get it done so it looks smooth and slick.
We can get you a gift card for that.
Okay.
There you go. So take that offer. And that's it. Like I think you've got it. I didn't like a little bit of the wording on the last paragraph.
Yeah.
I think you're rally. So you haven't convinced me yet, and I still am in conflict. And I think you've got to be careful. You're not going to alienate that part of the audience who don't want to decide so quickly, right?
Yeah.
So just be aware of that, because I don't want to make a decision so quickly on whether or not I think this is a good or bad idea. And the problem is you're going to get judged. So you're forcing me to judge that by your last paragraph and the way you're phrasing it. Instead, you could just acknowledge that some people in the audience may not be ready for this yet.
Got it.
But for those who are, and for those who want to come on a journey with me, blah blah blah, DIY Defense is here to serve you.
Got
right?
it.
Something like that. Something like that, and then that just helps, smooth that over. Anyway. Otherwise, good job. That was a cool pitch.
Yeah. Matt.
Yeah, I really don't like the word gays. I would say gay people.
Gay people.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Vocabulary is very important. So I appreciate. What do you guys think about like opening with the? Because like part of me was very conflicted about opening with the pulse neck clip shooting, because part of me felt very like it felt a little exploitative. Do you think like it would come off to the audience that way, or do you think it was sincere enough that it was?
You treat it with in my mind, you treat it with respect, so it was okay.
Yeah, it didn't feel clickbaity at all. It was like this. So I'll dive into my feedback. So literally, the first thing I wrote was great hook. So that's an answer to how you started. Literally at 1 minute in, I wanted to stand up and give you a standing ovation. Like I was just like, oh, you've been working at this for so long. You've got it. And then at 2 minutes, I was like, the problem is still getting set up. And then at 3 minutes and 25 seconds is before you actually tell us what you do, which my intuition is 2 minutes too long.
Yeah.
So your first minute is phenomenal, like flat out phenomenal. At about 1 minute, I would transition into what you do for these people. So like, I'm totally sold. You've got me rooting for this community. It's like, everything I want to do is like put energy into like, yeah, all right. And then you need to tell me what you do. And I would put more time on the demo. Again, this is feedback for everybody. You fall victim a little bit to you tell me what you do, rather than showing us what you do for your community that you're serving.
Got it.
Because you do such a good job of setting up this community. Like, I'm rooting for these people. The piece that you have to do is, I'm not rooting for you. I'm rooting for your community and your customers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm only going to root for you when you show me how you make their world better, and then I'll start rooting for you too.
Got it.
And so especially for your demo, that's going to be really important, because you set up this fantastic conflict, which I think is a great word, which is you sort of frame into a stereotype, but then reframe it in a super powerful way. And your demo is a chance to further reframe that.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's a counterintuitive way of thinking about empowering a community that doesn't feel empowered, without going so far into me thinking, isn't this just making it all worse? So that's, in my brain, everybody's brain may be different, that's the fine line for me, like as a listener to this pitch, which is, not stepping over that line into, well, this is like, you're making money while making the problem worse.
Yeah.
So what I want to hear is that you're helping this community, and that community is going to help you back.
Got it.
And so there's, to that end, there's nothing about your business, like I have no idea how this business works. There's nothing about your competition. There's nothing about alternatives. It's 3 minutes and 25 seconds of convincing me,
Right.
which you totally convinced me at minute 1. And then there's a bunch of stuff that I have no idea about that's sort of the back 2/3 of the pitch. So what I would do is go into your script. You don't need to, like, it's all there on the front side. Literally at about minute 1, just take from minute 1 out to 3:25, and then make your demo longer, and then talk about the business dynamics. How do you make money? How does this work? Because again, the way I root for your community that you serve is I know your business is sustainable and you'll keep serving them. Because again, through that, I'm gonna start rooting for you.
Got it.
So that's your challenge on the pitch, but this is the first time where I'm like, I get it. You got me. I want the people you're serving to win. I want you to help them win. And I have no idea how you do it.
Got it.
So those are the dynamics I would fix, but this is the best first minute you've ever pitched.
Yeah.
Thank
I
you.
will just add in that you'll get different opinions. I try this out with you. This
Oh,
is
yeah.
this is a pitch will naturally pull up a number of different opinions. And you really want to get people of both sides of that fence, especially considering the audience. So consider your audience in this case.
Bolder audience.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's a
Right.
bolder audience. and-
Well, but that's the conflict.
Oh,
So
Exactly.
If you're conscientious about it, you're conscientious about your audience, and that's the only thing. As I said, I felt you abandoned me somewhere through this because you almost forced me into that decision. If you just let me engage with you all the way through that story, that was great. I don't necessarily agree with Zach. You have to cut out so much because I was ready to give you a standing ovation at 3 minutes in actually, but you built me all the way up because and be careful because Zach probably is slightly biased here because he's probably seen this before and he already knew what was coming,
right.
whereas I didn't. So
this is a radically different version.
This,
than the last
this is
one I
very
saw.
yeah.
Oh,
'Cause
okay.
like,
This is new for me.
all right, okay.
Zach had given me similar feedback last time, and I feel like every time, every iteration of this pitch I do, it is like trying to I am walking a fine line, but that line becomes clearer every time.
This is the
So
first
it's-
time you owned it.
Yeah,
And did everybody
that's-
notice
yep,
the difference
yep.
that makes in rooting for this business when you just totally own it?
I think I took the risk of because last time you said okay, bring in your audience, right? And I thought what's my audience? Because if I alienate other people, that's good enough. That's good enough of a risk for me if I'm gonna bring in my audience, the ones I care about. So I
One
think
more team.
that's kind of the philosophy I'm going with right now.
Yeah.
Cool, we got one more.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
While the next team's setting up, just one, go ahead and.
With your kitties.
The interesting thing about the Boulder audience, though, is you played at 2 topics. One that typically Boulder is incredibly against, and one that Boulder is typically incredibly for. And so this is going to cause an interesting tension in your audience.
It's great if you acknowledge it. I really liked it. I mean, just to get down to it, I'm still thinking, where do I sit on this? As long as you give me that chance to not force me down a path, I'll feel better.
HDMI?
And I love the idea of being conscientious about, who your audience are, because in the end you want to empower those guys.
I
And
don't
how
have the
you do that,
HDMI in,
that would
do you?
be...
You need the mini display.
Yeah, mini display.